So to finish second and third was pretty good. We made not a bad start. We managed to we got past one car, I think, at the start, and that first yellow, or we started that strategy of doing it on 2 stops, which meant saving some fuel. It was kind of frustrating watching these guys just go a little bit into the distance with that. We pitted 1 lap earlier than we probably should have. They've had a problem with our warning light. Our low fuel warning light came on after about 16 gallons or something, so that hurt us towards the end. But all in all, to end up with third was good. The biggest worry for me was making the fuel to go long to be able to do 31 laps, I think, in that last stint, and we were on course for that. And then the yellow came out and really helped us, so that was good. The tough point then, Will was right behind me, and I had 3 lap cars between Scott, or 3 or 4 lap cars between Scott and myself, and they were racing pretty hard and not really giving a crap for the lead lap car. So that allowed Will to get 1 run, and we went through the hairpin side by side. But ultimately we sorted it out, and good weekend, second in the points, I think. So we'll see if we can do a better job in Long Beach.
Thanks. We'll go ahead and open it for questions. Please wait until you have the microphone as we're transcribing this.
Were you both surprised to see Will pit as early as he did on lap 14 when that yellow came out? Because it kind of seemed like whatever he did, you guys weren't going to do.
I don't know what they obviously thought they were making the right move, and we, like you say, we were always going to do the opposite, weren't we? I think our race pace was pretty good, though. As much fuel as we were saving, I was quite happy with our race cars. But yeah, that everybody kind of picks their strategy. They had to pick their strategies right there and then, and I think we picked the right one.
I think that if you looked at the strategies, obviously the pit window opened at 9, so I think that's why they took it. It was going to be a tough adventure to obviously do it on the 2 stops. It's not a fun race to drive when you're a driver, because you got the team in your ear constantly saying that you need to make this number on fuel, and you're trying to push as hard as possible, but yet you got to lift all the time. So I think we were under the idea or notion that whatever Will was going to do, we were going to do the opposite, and I think that definitely played into the hands of quite a few people. And it could have swung either way, to be honest, with how the yellows felt. So obviously worked out for a majority of us.
Scotty, tell us where you think you're allowed, or maybe where it is you're allowed to pass on the start. Is it?
And I think that the cause for it was Will. I don't know why he's trying to start in first gear and crawl at 20 miles an hour. That's just ridiculous.
I thought you were supposed to keep pace car speed.
Yeah, you meant to keep pace car speed, and it's the first ever start I've ever done in first gear. So that set it off, and then obviously whoever was in front of me got a lot of wheel spin. Elio. I ducked to the left, he came over to the left, I got back behind him after the start-finish line, and then passed him going into turn 1 around the outside. So I don't see the problem with that. Obviously there was a problem, or you meant to just go through turn 1s and 2 and 3 in the position that you started, but I don't see the point of that.
So you started 5th, right?
Yeah.
And you, at the line, can you be 5th or can you be 4th? Because you were 4th.
Well, I think a lot of that depends on what your line is doing. If you look at Brazil, we got hosed again because Will laid back, and I think I started 7th, but actually by the start-finish line I was 9th or 10th. So it depends on what bloody start you want to look at, to be honest.
I think the rule, you're not allowed to pass the car ahead of you. Doesn't matter what the other lane does, you have no control over that, but until the start-finish, you're not allowed to pass. You're not allowed to be ahead of the car, ahead of you in your line.
I went to pass Elio on the left, which he was the car in 3rd place ahead of me. I started 5th. He came over to the left, so I went back behind him, and then to the right, and passed him on the outside in turn 1.
Was this racetrack as difficult as you thought it would be, or was the race a little bit better than you thought it would be?
I think for the fans it was a good race. It is very tough to pass here, and thank goodness we have pit stops and strategies, and obviously the difference between the red and black tyres. So I think that definitely made up for a race that could have been pretty tough to make any difference on what you did through the day. For us drivers, it's tough to run a fuel strategy race. You always just want to push and try and get to the front, but you got to save fuel to get to the end.
Yeah, fuel saving is always tough, like Scott says, because you're lifting on the straights and you're carrying speed through the corners, so you end up hustling the car a lot, as hard through the corners, and sometimes you're asking it to do things you didn't set it up for because of the lack of straight line speed. So that makes it quite interesting. And as Scott said earlier, again, they come on your ear. They're like, "Hey, you're not making enough fuel here. You're going to have to make fuel." And you see, the guys closing in behind, guys disappearing. So it takes a lot of discipline, and it's easy to make a mistake in those circumstances because you might be braking later than you would normally, or braking lighter, or sometimes not braking at all in certain corners where you would brake before. So it definitely keeps your attention.